Hello viewers and welcome back to American City History. We have moved on to the next state, which is Colorado. The cities that we'll be doing in Colorado are Denver and Colorado Springs. In this episode, we'll be talking about Denver. Denver is located in central Colorado. It is a semi-arid continental climate with warm summers and cold winters, often with snow. The Denver area had been inhabited by local Native Americans such as the Arapaho for thousands of years. In 1858, a group of prospectors were coming through the area when they discovered gold. This would lead to a gold rush, and over 100,000 people would come to the area over a 2-year period in the hopes of finding gold. One of the original prospectors, William Larimer, created Denver City and named it after James W. Denver, the territorial governor of Kansas Territory, of which at that time Colorado was a part. This was done because Larimer thought that if he named the city after the governor, then Denver would make Denver the county seat. The boom from the gold rush led to Colorado Territory separating from Kansas Territory. The gold rush would end in 1860, and the population boom would also end. A man named William N. Byers, the founder of the town's first newspaper and chamber of commerce, marketed the town as the future steamboat capital of the West, which would never happen because the two rivers in the city, the Platte River and Cherry Creek, were too small and polluted to work for steamboats. In 1865, Denver became the capital of Colorado Territory. In 1876, Colorado gained statehood. However, Denver did not officially be made the capital until 1881. Despite the end of the gold rush, the town's economy was still mainly based off of mining. Railroads began to move in, and farming, industry, and others grew and overtook mining. Colorado had lots of prosperity from silver mining up until the silver mining crash of 1893, which put Denver and the state as a whole into a 10-year depression. The city still had large amounts of growth, and the Colorado State Capitol was constructed. The depression would end in 1904, and the City Beautiful period in Denver would begin. Mayor Robert Speer wanted to turn Denver into an American Paris. The city had no proper plan, and buildings could be haphazardly placed. A proper plan and grid were set up. The city was generally beautified, and new parks were set up across it. This would create lots of growth in the 1920s. The successor to Speer was Benjamin F. Stapleton, who continued the beautification and constructed the city's first airport in 1929. Military installations, such as Lowry Air Force Base and others, moved in the 1930s and 40s. An oil boom began in Colorado in the 1950s, and oil companies built their offices in Denver. The city began cleaning up their rundown neighborhoods from the 1960s to the 1980s. A second oil boom occurred, which brought new skyscrapers throughout the city. There would be an oil crash in the mid-1980s, and the city would fall into a recession. Denver had major population declines, and it was clear that the oil industry would not return. The city elected Federico Pena, Denver's first Hispanic mayor. Pena wanted to turn Denver from an oil city to a major location for tourism. Most people who visited Denver at that time were just stopping over on their way to ski resorts in the nearby mountains. Industrial areas were torn down and gentrified, and tourist services and cultural institutions like the Denver Zoo and Denver Art Museum were built. Pena's successor, Wellington Webb, Denver's first African-American mayor, completed the massive Denver International Airport, which is one of the largest in the country and the world. The city had another boom, and the population exceeded 1 million. Today, Denver is one of the largest and most important cities in Colorado and the country. I hope you enjoyed this video.